You have 9:59? Okay. I'll let you. Well, if you were sleepy when you sat down this morning, you are not sleepy anymore. Welcome to Peace United Church of Christ, where no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here among us. Today, we are celebrating the birth of our babies, and we are honoring the people in our midst who have died, whose spirits remain present still with us even so. We are grateful that you are here this morning. For our opening words, I'm going to invite you, when I raise my hand, to say thanks be to God. So let's give that a try.
Thanks be to God.
Look at that. You even said it with gusto, so you don't have to repeat it. God has given us this beautiful earth and all that grows and runs upon it.
Thanks be to God.
God has given us breath to live and spirit to sing.
Thanks be to God.
God has gathered us into a community of care and worship where we remember those who have come before us and celebrate new life.
Thanks be to God.
Let us worship God with love, thanksgiving, hope, and praise. Let us now stand in body or spirit and sing from our hymn books number 299, For All the Saints. If you didn't know that song, you know it now because we just heard it. Number 299 in your hymn books, please stand in body or spirit.
Today, we celebrate Totenfest, the German word for Festival of the Dead. It was established in 1816 by Prussian Emperor Friedrich Wilhelm III, and as a day to remember that nation's soldiers who had died in the recent Prussian War. It was an important observance in the Evangelical Church in Prussia, the predecessor of the German Evangelical Church of America, of which this congregation was a part. Its roots go back even further to the All Saints and All Souls days of the medieval church. In recent years, many churches, like ours, that celebrate Totenfest have also added listing of all babies born during the previous year, celebrating the fullness of life from birth to death. And now in remembrance, we remember those who have died in the past year, celebrating their lives even as we continue to grieve. And in celebration, we give thanks for the blessings of new life and new families. In remembrance of Jim Crunk, brother of Pat Allen. In remembrance of Ellen Reeves, niece of Roger Bridgewater.
In celebration of Harriet Ruth Bann, perfect granddaughter of Dee and David Bann.
In remembrance of Mark Stephen Ludhauser, son of Norma Ludhauser. In remembrance of John Panhorst, husband of Ruth Panhorst.
In celebration of Edward Philippe Tenholder, great-nephew of Jim and Jane Hurst.
In remembrance of Patricia Ann Testel, mother of Cindy Testel. In remembrance of Michael Capuano, uncle of Janine Cato and John Drobina Daly.
In celebration of Miles Webster Cato, grandson of Sarah Webster.
In remembrance of Jimmy Hinkle, friend of Janine Drobina. In remembrance of Adam Blake Mallet, close friend of Jennifer and Jeff Davis.
In celebration of Franklin Hawk Loudermilk, grandson of Gretchen Loudermilk.
In remembrance of Nancy Adams Dunlap, aunt of Sue Butler. In remembrance of Martha Gibbs Temby, stepmother of Sue Butler.
In celebration of Austin Francisco Butler, grandson of Sue Butler.
In remembrance of Peggy Kachulas, wife of Paul Kachulas. In remembrance of Bob Palmeyer, husband of Bobby Palmeyer.
In celebration of Apollo Butler, grandson of Sue Butler.
In remembrance of Christy Weir, sister of Judy Guerrero.
In celebration of Isabella Butler, great-granddaughter of Sue Butler.
And now please join us for a moment of silence. hears our prayer. As I live every day, I want to be a channel for peace. May I bring love where there is hatred, and healing where there is hurt, joy where there is sadness, and hope where there is fear. I pray that I may always try to understand and comfort other people, as well as seeking comfort and understanding from them. Wherever possible, may I choose to be a light in the darkness, a help in the times of need, and a caring, honest friend. May justice, kindness, and peace flow from my heart forever. Amen. And now please join us in the opening response, which can be found in the binder, number 6. There's a spirit of love in this place. Number 6 in the binder.
Children? Do I have some children that would like to hear a book, please?
Just sing it.
I cannot sing.
Oh, chill.
Okay. I have a book I want to share with you today. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. Okay. It's called You Are Important. Do you think you're important? Good. Because you are. You're very important to a lot of people. It was written by a person named Todd Snow. That's the person who wrote the words. And it was illustrated by Melody Strong, the person who did the pictures. You are important in so many ways. Did you know you're important, James? You were important because you were born and became part of a family. You are important because you're growing and learning new things all the time. You are important because you smile and laugh. And laugh. Thank you. You are important because you tell me when you're sad and when you're sad. Yeah, it's important to get that connected, isn't it? You are important because you give hugs. And that feel better. Yep, you know how it feels. Right? You are important because you listen and you take turns. Now this one you may have to help explain to the other kids with the picture. You are important because you imagine and have fun. Now, what do you think she's imagining?
Like with frog trick? Or
Yes.
like Tiana? Like I kiss the frog?
Kiss the frog, right. Yep. I think when I read that to little kids, I may have to explain that to them. You are important because you are kind and gentle. Yeah. You. Just take a minute to take the picture in. What's he got? A mouse, yeah. You are important because you explore and find new things. Mom's not too excited about the new, okay. You are important because I get to hug you and tell you I love you every day. So you are important. Should we stand? Nope. There we go. All right. We thank you for this day, for these children, and for the authors and illustrators who bring us wonderful ideas. Amen.
Love through me, love of God. There is no love in me. Oh, fire of love, light through the love that burns the measuring. Love through me, love through me, through me. Peace of God, love through me, never fails until no wind can blow, no current surges to a ripple of shine through the joy of God. Make me like thy clear air, that thou dost pour thy stars through, as though it were not there. Oh, blessed love of God, that only taste and see how good thou art, once more pregnant. Love through me, even me. Joy of God.
Today's readings. Today's readings. One more time here. The first reading is from Psalm 90. Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. You turn us back to dust and say, turn back, you mortals, for 1,000 years in your sight are like yesterday when it is past, or like a watch in the night. You sweep them away, they are like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers. And from Matthew chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. For the wisdom contained in these holy words, we give thanks. Amen.
Feels like a long time since I've been up here. It's also really cold in here. I don't know if anybody else is feeling it like I am. I feel, well, Al's wearing a jacket, and he's wearing earmuffs. So part of me feels like we need to jump around a little bit. If you need to move while we're in the middle of service, please feel free to do so. Obviously, Eden does not have the heat turned on yet. Have compassion for everyone you meet, even if they don't want it. What seems conceit, bad manners, or cynicism is always a sign of things no ears have heard, no eyes have seen. You don't know what wars are going on down where the spirit meets the bone. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We come to the sanctuary this morning honoring our dear ones who have died, gone, but still present with us. We are also here to rejoice in the new life of our babies, who are very important, as Carol just read, who will lead us with their wisdom into the future. The psalmist's words surround us in comfort with their saying, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. We are always wrapped up within God. Jesus' words on the mountain bring us solace and hope too. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. And you know the rest. There's lots in those words that Jesus spoke on that mountain. Surrounded with solace, filled with hope, we remind ourselves today of those who have come before us. We consider the shoulders we stand upon. We recall the people who held on to hope, even in difficult and dangerous times, and made a way so that we too can make a way. The way we have chosen is outlined in our vision and mission, and I sure hope you haven't got tired of me saying it. Creating a radically inclusive, just, compassionate, and sustainable community mobilized toward comprehensive well-being. Our mission, Peace United Church of Christ, an open and affirming congregation, lives out the radical teachings of Jesus and works in solidarity with all to achieve well-being, justice, and equity for God's creation. And if you don't think those words lived out will cause us any trouble, you are kidding yourself. We want to participate and live into God's dream for the world, a world of shalom. That means comprehensive well-being. Each Sunday, we proclaim that no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here among us. We strive to provide radical hospitality and work for change in a world that often seems broken and beyond hope. We are not the first. There are many who have come before us, who have brought us to the place we are now in. They too worked to live into the hope to which God called them. Today, I'm going to lift up two people. I expect as I tell their stories, you will think of people who influenced your life experience. In 1606, a Puritan pastor who had gotten himself into a bunch of trouble, Reverend John Robinson, penned what would be considered the first covenant of the yet-to-be-born United Church of Christ. Here we find the cornerstone of understanding that makes the UCC who it is today. Robinson delivered these words of hope and challenge as a small group of people set sail from the Netherlands to the shores of the colonies, as they called them, challenging the courageous ones to walk together in all God's ways, made known to us, or to be made known to us at whatever the cost. In these words, we find the origin of the God is still speaking, comma, in the United Church of Christ. Does that make sense to all of you? Here is the call to expand our understanding of what it means to follow Jesus, to stand up alongside people who were and still are marginalized and persecuted by a society unwilling to open its arms, a call to live into radical hospitality and hope, to walk together in all God's ways, made known to us or to be made known to us at whatever the cost. Many years later, in the middle of the Russian Revolution, a girl found herself kneeling on the floor of her aunt and uncle's home at the command of Russian soldiers. The girl knew what was to come. Many people had been shot and killed in their homes by the army. Faith in God punished by death. Guns drawn, soldiers yelling, the girl was certain she had taken her last breath. Amid the chaos, her family began to pray quietly. Suddenly, the soldiers lowered their guns, and for some reason, never known to the girl, the soldiers turned around and left, without harming one person in her family. Soon after, this girl and her family escaped Russia, taking only what they could carry, and made their way to the shores of England. There, they boarded a rickety old ship bound for Canadian shores. The girl doubted the ship would make it across the ocean. Once again, her life was in the hands of God. It was so old, that ship, and seemingly patched together. She didn't think they would make it. It turns out she was not terribly wrong, for this voyage would be the rickety old ship's last voyage. When they finally disembarked the crumbling ship, the girl and her family trudged westward until they reached a province with a name no one could pronounce. It was here that this girl, now a young woman, would marry and raise a family on a farm in northern Saskatchewan. This woman who crossed the world never made the news. She was known to no one outside her little farming community and her family. She was tiny, less than 5 feet tall. She always wore a dress and stockings, unless she was out in the garden, and then she put on an old pair of pants over her dress and stockings. She went to church every Sunday in the little country church called Hoffnungsfelder, which means field of hope. Hoffnungsfelder Mennonite Church. She pronounced her W's like a V and her V's like an F. She was more comfortable speaking Plattdeutsch than English. She had Fruit Loops in the kitchen cupboard and pop in the basement, a special treat for her grandchildren. She was stubborn and kind and filled with hope for her family. Aganita Stobie Peters was my Oma, my grandma, and her life, filled with fear and risk and hardship and courage and joy and above all hope, her hope-filled life, just like the church she called home, helped set a path for me. I am here, standing in front of you today, in part because of a tiny, wee, little Russian woman. Our mission and vision are built and lived out because of courageous people who lived into a vision left by other courageous people who lived into a vision outlined by prophets of old and by a young person from Nazareth whose way, a way of lifting up those who were oppressed and forgotten, a way of hope, led to a cross, a punishment for those considered treasonous to the empire. Walking in all God's ways, he was made known or to be made known at whatever the cost. This is our history, a history of hope. It is the legacy we have been given to continue by people we have not known and by people who are close to our hearts. This morning, we honor our loved ones whose work on this earth is now complete. Our task is to build on their efforts. So the little ones, our babies, who we also lift up and celebrate today, have a just and peaceful world in which to live. A world where old people have a voice and a vote. Where gun violence is not the norm. Where hateful speech, hardened hearts, and complacent souls are changed. A world where arms are open wide. Where curiosity is celebrated. And where love wins. Always. We too are called to walk walk in all God's ways, made known or to be made known, at whatever the cost. May it be so.